Looks live. Okay. So here we are, right? Day one-ish, first A day of the new year. Um, Brand new year, but same old recording quality, which is mediocre. It's fine. Um, Chemistry this year. These notes that are on screen should be in the topic section. There should be a download. I think this one is like pages 1 through 4, measurement, dimensional analysis, and something or other. I don't recall the exact title of it, but it'll look like that. When you open it up, it'll look like this. Everything is already filled in. If y'all want a blank copy, let me know. I'm sure that I can just make a blank copy of it for you to fill in. But otherwise, I'm just going to walk through what I did today during class, basically. A lot of it doesn't apply because it was procedural stuff, but for the notes, I really only got to about here. So really just what you can see on screen. That's about where I got, just because we don't have access to full reference tables yet. It's a work in progress. In any case, the first thing to kind of work with to talk about for chemistry, before we get to chemicals, before we get to the periodic table, before we get to solids, liquids, gases, and the kind of review stuff that you have from 7th grade, what I need to do is make sure that y'all can make measurements and y'all can convert between different units, because those are two things that you will definitely need later, right? So measurements, it says measurements in chemistry. This should read measurements in science, right? You always need number and unit. We use the metric system, which is, you'll notice it's abbreviated SI. It's abbreviated SI even though the S and the I are there. They're not in that order. It's a French thing, Système International. You can tell I didn't take French because I'm sure that would have sounded better. But SI is just our standard of unit, or our standard units for measurement. So things like the meter, the kilogram, seconds, Kelvin. One thing that isn't here that y'all may want to take note of is the liter for liquids. So liters is our standard instead of gallons, right? But yeah, we use the metric system. Please, 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 please. Always have a number and a unit. They go together, right? Dimensional analysis is just our fancy way of saying unit conversions, right? If you want to say that an example of a dimensional analysis is to say that 1 foot is 12 inches or 1 yard is 3 feet, right? Those are the same thing, even though they're different units. They represent the same amount of stuff. In this case, the same amount of distance. Again, going with imperial units, I know I should be using metric, but I feel like you're familiar with imperial units. So 16 ounces is a pound, right? Those are the same measurement, that's the same amount of stuff. It's just a different unit of measurement. So sometimes it's more convenient. I wouldn't want to measure the distance between my house and the mall in feet or inches. But in the same way, I wouldn't want to measure, the size of a piece of paper using miles. You want to use the appropriate unit for an appropriate time, and that's what dimensional analysis is for. So we use what we call a conversion factor, or maybe a unit equality. They mean the same thing. I may throw one or the other out, but that's how we convert things. So what I just mentioned, 1 foot equals 12 inches, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Those are conversion factors. Those are unit equalities. And in order to explain what this is saying, I am going to do a quick example. Oop. Okay. We're drawing. Alright, the drawing works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something that you already know the answer to. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that 1 yard, I'm going to leave a bunch of space, I'm going to say it's equal to how many feet? Alright? So the math that I'm going to do involves fractions. If fractions historically have not been your friend, I will try to make them as painless as possible here. Now, in fractions in math, right? If you had a fraction that was like 5x over 5y, right? Then because there's a 5 in the top and a 5 in the bottom, you were always allowed to just, if it existed in the top and the bottom, you could cancel them out. So this fraction is the same as saying x over y, right? in the same way that you do math with numbers, you can do math with units. So if I have yards, and I've intentionally drawn this out, I've intentionally written this out so that yards is on the top, and I put yards on the bottom here, then this unit and this unit will cancel each other out. Just like the numbers cancel out, the units can also cancel out. So you got to make sure to do math not just with the numbers, but with the units. If I want to convert to feet, right? Typically, when you're doing dimensional analysis, the unit that you start with will be on the bottom. The unit that you want to end up in later is in the top. So kind of think of it like started from the bottom, now we're here. So start on the bottom. The unit that you're starting with goes on the bottom. Where you want to end up later, that's on the top. You always want to end up on top, right? It's like the winner circle type thing. Anyway, the relationship between feet and yards, we know it's 3 feet is 1 yard, right? So again, I can cancel out the yards. 1 times 3, and now I can just do math with numbers. 1 times 3 is 3, divided by 1 is still 3. That's fairly straightforward. If I flip back to the notes, and I look at this example, right? I wanted to convert 25 inches into centimeters. In order to do that, I need to know the conversion factor, the unit equality, between inches and centimeters. It turns out that 1 inch, right here, equals 2.54 centimeters. So, I put inches on the bottom, because that's where we started, centimeters on the top, that's where we want to get to, that's where we want to be, and the number goes with that. Then just do math straight across. 25 times 2.54 divided by 1, that's 63.5. Round to the nearest tenth. For now, that's fine. Round to the nearest tenth. All right? It occurs to me now, you'll probably want a blank version of these, and I will do my best to post that as well, purely because the examples that I want you to do are already filled in down below. There's one example number 1 at the bottom here, and then there's an example number 2 on page 2. There are many examples on page 2, but I only want you to try and do 1 and 2. All right, I'll go over those in tomorrow, the B-Day video, right? In the meantime, if you have any questions, reach out to me via email, and I'll check in with you again on B-Day. Take care, kids.